Hi everybody, my name is Ida Vickers and I have made a little video on how to improve your photography and take more interesting photos using the rule of thirds. First of all, what is the rule of thirds? It's a rule you will encounter in all forms of visual art, be it movies, photography, paintings, drawings, anything like that. That basically tells you you should place your horizon on one of the two horizontal lines that you see here, or the two vertical ones, and all your important lines along this grid as well, and the important objects, people, elements that you want to draw attention to on the intersections of these lines. So the photos I'm going to show you now were taken recently at a photo walk in the vineyards around Vienna, a very beautiful area. Can highly recommend, you should definitely visit if you're ever in the area. They were taken on a Sony RX100 camera, so a point-and-shoot camera, a good point-and-shoot camera, but you definitely don't need any fancy equipment to take photos with a nice composition, so don't worry about that. If you only have your phone, that is completely fine. We can see on this photo here that it has some nice leading lines, but they're not really leading anywhere, and the horizon is kind of not perfect either. We'll put the grid over it and see. Yeah, you'll see the horizon is a bit too low and there's really nothing at the intersections of the lines, so that is not very good composition. Doesn't look very interesting. We take a few steps in one direction and we'll see, okay, there are these nice leading lines between the rows of the trees, and they're kind of coming towards the horizon. That is a much better composition, and we'll see that here. We've got the horizon kind of where it's supposed to be, and we also have lines that are parallel to the lines, the vertical lines in the grid. If we want to make it look a lot more interesting though, we need to do something else, because that shot right now was very, well, everybody can take it, yeah. If you want to take a different shot and make it look different than anybody else's shots, then we need to work on the angle and composition again. So here I just went kind of parallel to the trees, and I like the fact that you can see all the trees kind of repeating themselves in the background, and the parallel lines in the grass are very much like that. And we can also see that the composition here, the grid, confirms that this is a good composition, yeah. The ends of the trees, kind of before it all goes green, is aligned with the bottom line, and the top line is in the horizon. So this looks kind of nice. If you want to play around with this, I mean, this is still not absolutely perfect composition, but it looks better. If you want to play around with this, maybe lower the camera so you have the horizon, the actual horizon between the leaves and the sky along the top line. You can do that as well. Depends, of course, on the surroundings and the area that you are in. If you're even able to do that. So we are in the vineyards, and there are a lot of grapes in the vineyards, which are very pretty, but this photo doesn't really tell me anything. I don't find it very interesting, and that is because the composition is very boring. Everything is in the middle, and also we have this branch to the right kind of sticking out, and there's a leaf in the foreground. It's kind of a little messy. It doesn't really do the trick for me, so we need to find something more interesting. And lucky for us, we found a little ladybug. There were so many little bugs and bees and everything around this, all these grapes and everything. It was really nice to watch. So yeah, we found this little ladybug, and I really like on this image that the ladybug and the grapes, of course, to the left are in focus and everything else is kind of blurry. That, of course, is because I shot this at an aperture of 1.4. So your phone will not be able to do that, but don't worry, it'll still be a nice image even if the rest is still in focus. Right, but you'll see how it is aligned here. Yeah. So this photo here, well, it doesn't do it for me either because there's too much going on. You don't know where you're supposed to look, right? There's too many little red dots. There's like a blurry leaf thingy in the foreground. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the background. So that's not really good. And also the composition grid tells us that it's not really working. Nothing is where it's supposed to be. So what do? We single out one berry. I very much like the branch in the background that's kind of crossing through the image, and we can see that the berry is very much aligned with the bottom of the grid, the bottom left intersection here. And you don't have to be like a slave to these rules. You can definitely play around with them, which is why the branch in the background makes it so interesting for me. I think when you really are very adherent to these rules and everything is very kind of straight on and on these lines and very exact, it can look quite boring and stiff. So I wouldn't recommend you follow these to the letter. It is a suggestion. And you know, our brains pick up these composition rules automatically. We don't have to actually learn them, but once you're conscious of them, you can see that in so many movies and so many photos and pictures and everything. You can see it really literally everywhere, but you just need to be aware of it. And yeah, our brains are not like nitpicky, and they're not going to be like, oh, this is 1 centimeter to the left, this is bad composition. Nobody does that, right? So do play around with it. So I stumbled across this little purple flower. I found it very, very pretty, but the surroundings here are too messy for me. There's too much going on. There's too much going on in the background. There's this field, there's trees. Everything's a bit confusing, so I just squatted down a little bit and took a photo of the flower against the horizon here. That instantly brought your attention, or everybody's attention, to the flower in the foreground. We can see that it's very well composed now. The horizon is pretty much exactly where it's supposed to be, and the flower is exactly aligned with the horizontal, no, vertical line. This also looks very nice and dramatic in black and white. So I do encourage you to play around with saturation, colors, black and white, sepia, whatever. Just find what you like and experiment around. There's really no harm that can be done. Of course, you can make a photo look bad or something, but that's not hurting anybody. And that is everybody's learning process. I sit on such a big mountain of bad work, you have no idea, and it'll just grow as I get better. So every bad photo that you take is just a step in the right direction, even if it doesn't seem that way. So do feel free to play around. There's really nothing that can be lost, especially in the digital age where taking a photo doesn't cost you anything. So yeah, that was my little presentation on composition and the rule of thirds in general. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments down below. I also do host workshops for women, beginners workshops for women, and you're very welcome to come one of those as well. They are hosted in Vienna, so I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Or just subscribe to my channel. I'm going to upload more of these in the coming weeks, months. I do 10 things at a time, so some things will just have to wait, but I do plan on making more of these videos. For now, I hope you liked it. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye!